Harriet Beecher Stowe was born on June 14, 1811, in Litchfield, Connecticut. Stowe went to the Hartford Female Academy, which was founded by her sister. She was the seventh child in her family. Stowe's father was a minister. Her brother became a renowned preacher who led the abolitionist movement. In 1836, she married Calvin Stowe, and together they had 7 children. Preceding her death in 1896, Harriet wrote Uncle Tom's Cabin in the year 1850. This book was a bestseller and has never been out of print. It showed the realities of slavery in the world. When slave owner Arthur Shelby runs into debt and runs the risk of losing everything, he has no choice but to sell 2 of his slaves. One of those slaves is named Harry, and the other is named Tom. Harry's mother Eliza overhears the conversation and decides to run to Canada with her son. The new slave owner, Haley, finds out and finds a slave hunter to go capture Eliza and Harry. They escape and run to a Quaker settlement. The Quakers agree to help and transport them to safety. They are joined by George Shelby, who joins his family for the trip to Canada. During this time, Tom leaves his family to go to Mississippi so he can be transported to a slave market. Here, on the boat, Tom meets a girl named Eva St. Clair, and they become friends. Eva falls into the river and Tom jumps in to rescue her. Eva's father then buys Tom. They go to the St. Clair's home in New Orleans. George and Eliza are still running from the slave hunters. George shoots the slave hunter in the side. Eliza convinces George and the Quakers to bring him to the next town so he can be treated. Mr. St. Clair talks with his cousin Ophelia, who opposes slavery but has deep prejudice against blacks, while St. Clair has no prejudice but feels powerless to change the system. To help Ophelia, St. Clair buys Topsy, an abused slave, for Ophelia to educate. After 2 years, Eva gets sick and eventually dies. Ophelia decides to love slaves, Topsy begins to trust others, and Tom is set free. St. Clair's cruel wife sells Tom to a horrible plantation owner named Simon. Tom gets taken to Louisiana where he meets Emmeline, who is purchased as a sex slave. The slave hunter, who was a changed man after being healed by the Quakers, helps Eliza and Harry cross into Canada. Visions of Christ and Eva help Tom stay strong and believe. Tom hides the location of Emmeline and another escaped slave, causing Simon to beat him. Through all this, Tom forgives Simon. George Shelby comes with the money to buy Tom, only he is too late to do anything except watch Tom die. Eliza, Emmeline, and Harry make it to freedom. George Shelby returns home and sets slave free in loving memory of Tom. What effect did Uncle Tom's Cabin have on our country? Well, for starters, it brought the slavery issue to light. Before the publication of Uncle Tom's Cabin, little about slavery was known outside of the anti-slavery circles. Originally, the story was published in a newspaper in weekly increments. The reason the story Uncle Tom's Cabin did so much more than other slave narratives is because it took a slave, humanized them, and put them through a hard time. Not only did it bring to light the cruel treatment of slaves, but it brought the ever-so-common disintegration of families of slaves out. As members of families were sold off, sometimes they would never see each other again.